This show is brought to you by Databril, the scalable Amazon PPC management for large Amazon sellers and brands. Visit sellersessions.com/agency for more details. Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Session. Today I bring in Yousaf for the first time. How you doing, mate?
Very good. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to today because I do like to talk about external traffic, and it's not always easy to get people to share some of their strategies.
Absolutely.
Just outside the standard discounts for ranking with giveaways and stuff like that. So today, what we want to focus on, because you cover quite a lot of ground, but today we're going to look at basically off the Google paid search and obviously the Google network. So breaking out a little bit, we're going to be covering obviously the standard paid search ads, Google shopping ads, remarketing, and one special one. Do you want to give an indication to the audience?
So what in terms of remarketing? Programmatic, yeah, the programmatic one. So it's real-time bidding,
yeah.
And hopefully we're going to cover some stuff around self-service programmatic advertising.
Cool. So let's just kick off with standard paid search. Well, let's set the scene. Basically, obviously you sell on Amazon, but you also sell a vast chunk off of Amazon, don't you? You've got a Shopify store across your brands?
Absolutely. So it might be worth giving you a little bit of history of one of the brands that we did, because I think it would be a good start. So
go on, let's dig deep there.
We launched a brand in sort of mid 2016, and at the time, although I was aware of Amazon and FBA, it wasn't my area of focus. I came from a digital marketing background, so the first thing we did was set up a really nice Shopify website, and we went very hard on Adwords, basically.
Yeah.
And it was quite an interesting project for us, because the product that we had launched was essentially an up-and-coming trend. So we are right at the early stages of that trend. And we went very, very hard on AdWords, to the point that I believe our average monthly spend was well in excess of £15,000 a month.
Yeah.
So we started off with shopping ads, obviously your normal search campaign, tested things on YouTube, and we did a lot of sort of remarketing through AdWords as well, which was very successful.
Yeah. So let's break that out a little bit, because you just mentioned about trends. We obviously know that remarketing can be a cheaper way of recurring visits to capture people that dropped out your funnel.
Yeah.
Google shopping ads can be a bit more expensive and a little bit more complex to set up, whereas most people can pretty much set up the paid search ads off the bat. But what's interesting here, if you're working off trends, how were you able to do the research in terms of keyword research, being it's a trend, and was there enough data around for it?
There was enough data around. I mean, if you look at sort of the keyword planner and normal avenues of doing keyword research, there was a lot of demand for this type of product that we did, but the market didn't cater for it. There was one other competitor who had a similar product, but fortunately, they just didn't know how to push their product very well. So we had lots of data that we could base the campaign on. It's just that the market wasn't saturated, so we were able to go very hard without much competition, especially in the first few months.
Yeah. So do you want to break out your process a little there? So for instance, you've got your paid search ads, which is obviously the top of your funnel, which is closest to the conversion because people are actually typing in the keywords. Then obviously you're capturing off the back of that, you've got the remarketing. Let's talk about the setup that you had with your paid search, your Google shopping ads, then we can go into the programmatic side as well.
Of course. So like with any sort of AdWords campaign, we started off doing a lot of keyword research, trying to understand, identify our hero keywords, and also going for some of the questions that people were searching for. So these aren't necessarily, short phrases, but sort of, more questions that people were trying to ask on Google to find out about the product. Yeah. So we started out with a very, very granular campaign. And when I say granular, we probably had around 10 to 12 different campaigns, really heavy segmentation. We started that. We went through shopping ads, so we set up all the shopping ads, and we just kind of threw bucket loads of money at it for the first couple of months to gather as much data as we could. And then we set about, studying how the conversion rate, what the conversion rate was, what keywords were driving revenue, profitable revenue, and then we honed in on those.
Yeah.
In terms of remarketing ads, we tried to sort of A/B test a lot of different creatives, because at the end of the day, if you're using the same creatives, sometimes they don't work. So what we
Plus
did,
you get fatigue as well, don't you? It depends on
exactly
how aggressive you are in terms of showing the ads. If if you put an impression cap on them or not, for instance.
exactly. So we tend to do remarketing. We set a cap to 3 days, because usually if you're selling if you're getting an interaction within 3 days, then you're probably going to get a sale. Anything more than 3 days, I think is just ineffective, and you end up annoying a lot of people, which is what we didn't want to do. We focused within that 3 days, and the campaign for us started really, really strong. Our conversion rates were pretty decent. To give you an idea, we were sort of averaging around 10 to 11% conversion rate, which for a Shopify site,
that's incredible.
Yeah, it's incredible. We were at the time, what we realized is that we did a lot of pricing tests on both the display campaigns as well as the paid search.
Yeah.
And what we found was the moment you mention price on normal paid search campaigns, they just don't work as well as they do on remarketing. Yeah. So lots of little learnings there. To give you an idea, at one point we had 83% search impression share on Google for our niche, which was dramatically high.
Yes.
And what happened was, interestingly, we decided to list our product on Amazon just to kind of test the waters. And it really kicked off on Amazon to the point that within like a couple of weeks, the revenue that we were getting from Amazon matched what we were doing on Shopify.
Yeah.
And if you have a Google rep, you can get them to send you a vertical report. And that essentially means is that they will send you a report that's usually 6 to 12 pages on your niche. It gives you a lot of insight into who's getting the most traffic, what the average CPC is in your niche, who's got the most search impression share. And we were just basically monitoring that very heavily for months. And then as soon as obviously our sales on Amazon really increased, what we understood was that Amazon had identified this trend that we were onto, and they started betting really heavily on Adwords.
Yeah.
Which meant that two things happened there, and this was a big sort of learning for me personally. One, that when Amazon identifies a trend, they will go as hard as they can on AdWords. Yeah. So within a few weeks, we found that the cost per click had gone from 73 pence average to around £2.10.
Wow.
So it became extremely expensive. And at the same time, because we were now competing with Amazon, outbidding Amazon was extremely difficult, because obviously they have better quality score, but they have a lot more than what we have. So all of a sudden, our search impression share went from sort of 83% to 34. So there was a massive learning for us in there.
Makes sense. So if we go into the shopping ads, for people that have not set these up before, do you want to give us a quick rundown of what's requirements and stuff involved in setting up the Google shopping ads? And what
of course. So to set up shopping ads, you need a Google merchant account. And then within that merchant account, you have two ways of uploading your catalog. So if you're using Shopify, it's pretty easy because there's an app that you can install on Shopify that automatically syncs all your product listings with in Google Merchant Center, basically. However, you can do a manual feed as well, so you can essentially create a feed of all your products, upload it to Merchant Center, and as long as all the data is valid and everything, you can go ahead and basically start doing the shopping campaign with the manual feed as well. There are some tips, some kind of tricks that you can do on shopping ads that will give you better results. So, for example, if you've got a hero keyword, let's say the hero keyword is red shoes, and you've got just one product that's red shoes. If you do an automatic sync with between Shopify and Merchant Center, it means that you just have one product in your feed. But what we did was we created a manual feed, and then we added a lot of the same product, but we listed it several times with different keywords. Does that make sense to you?
Yep, makes sense.
So essentially, if you have one product landing page and it's just red shoes, you could then identify some other keywords. So I don't know, let's say red shoe size, women's red shoes or red shoes for women. You can create a shopping ad that brings all of those keywords into a single landing page. But what we did was we duplicated the same product page, hid it from the website, the front end of the website, but showed it to the Merchant Center. And that meant that we could go in very hard on specific exact matches. And the return on that is phenomenal because you're now, you're not going for a sort of broad match or phrase match. You can literally create an ad, a shopping ad for women's red shoes, and that will bring it to the same landing page, but your quality score is going to be much higher. Yeah. Because the exact match phrase now,
it's high relevance.
It's high relevance with the product page, which has the same title.
Makes sense. And so how long have you been rolling these out? And are these all the stuff that you're doing, is this part of a launch campaign and then you taper off? Or is this something that you've connected together to do like ongoing constantly for?
No. This is an ongoing thing for us. It's an ongoing thing. I mean, we invest heavily in our Shopify sites because I personally don't believe in building on rented land, and I see Amazon as exactly that. It's building on rented land. I see it as a massive risk to any business, basically. So we spend a lot of time and energy trying to build get traffic to our Shopify sites. We are doing very well on Amazon, but we just want to focus on the long term and build our own website. So the short answer is it's an ongoing thing, but markets change, the sort of the CPC and stuff like that, conversions change, but we're in it for the long run.
Yeah, makes sense. Because I mean, 11% conversion rate is incredible. If people get between 1.5 on a commerce site, that's pretty good. Obviously, if you've got good conversion optimization skills, is a different story. But if you're just a general Amazon seller who's never sold off platform, for instance, and you start on your own Shopify store, you should be aiming between 0.5 to 1.5% conversion rate.
Absolutely, and I would say that the conversion rate that we had, and I have to say that we don't have the same conversion rate at the moment, purely because the market has saturated, and obviously a lot of half of the traffic is essentially eaten by Amazon,
Yeah.
but we're still kind of averaging around 6 to 7%, which again is half decent.
Yeah.
I believe the primary reason for that is obviously being very granular on our paid search campaigns.
Yes.
So 11% conversion rate, I think it was what we were achieving in the first sort of 9 to 12 months of our campaign. But then as we had more competition and the market saturated, the conversion rate is now averaging around sort of 6 to 7%, which is still very, very decent on a Shopify site, but it isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, in terms of achieving that sort of conversion rate, it's a mixture of going very granular on the paid search campaigns, so spending a lot of time just optimizing that to the sort of nth degree, and then it's your landing page. So one of the things that we do, or a couple of things that we do on our landing pages. One, we invest heavily in really good product imagery. It's all 3D visualization, but it's pretty much photorealistic.
Yeah.
And then on the landing pages, we try to keep things very simple, but we try to break it down. So, we have a very succinct description of the product. We then have some of the key benefits in bullet points. And then after that, we list 3 to 5 reasons of why you should buy this product.
Mm-hmm.
So think of the 5 bullet points that you get on Amazon for a product. It's the same structure, but now we use those bullet points to essentially persuade people why this is a good buy, and why there's essentially zero risk.
Yeah.
And then after that, we go into sort of our money back guarantees, and why you should buy from us as a company. So not just covering why you should buy the product, but also saying why should you buy from us as a company? What are our ethos? And I think on a single landing page, when the consumers see everything they need, we've earned their trust. They're more likely to buy than a landing page that just talks about the product.
Exactly. If people listening out there, they should do a search on Google for the anatomy of a landing page. Yeah. And there's infographics that show the breakdown, because I think that everyone is completely aware of the science. Like a lot of the landing pages I would design as a start point, because nothing's exact right every time. You can't just copy someone else's landing page or funnel. It has to be developed through the customer experience. But quite often, if you go to a landing page, you've got an image on the left or the right hand side, and then you've got a striking short title that's very much to the point, a short description, 3 bullets, and then you're just targeting over 1 conversion, and then you're dropping down, and basically you're leaving like a cookie trail throughout the page of information, and you're using a mixture of bullet points and text and imagery to break up the page. You often see with pages that they rotate. So you look one way to the other side, and that's because when you take a look at the top of a page, if you look at some of the Google heat lamps, that they show you as we zigzag down pages, don't we?
Yeah.
So you need to kind of follow those kind of principles.
Absolutely. And I think another thing that's really useful is really trying to understand your converting customers. So what we understood within the first 3 to 4 months, the most interesting thing for us was the fact that around 80 to 85% of our conversions came from mobile devices. So if you look at our site on a desktop, it would look reasonable, but it wouldn't look absolutely great.
Yeah.
So when we understood that the vast majority of conversions come from mobile devices, what we did was we adjusted the paid search campaigns to reflect that. So we were going very hard, paying more on bids when people were searching on a mobile device than desktop. And then our landing pages they were just almost perfect for the mobile experience.
Sounds good. So before we wrap, do you want to go into the programmatic element here?
Absolutely. So programmatic advertising, or sort of real-time bidding through a platform. Usually, these type of advertising is done through agencies, purely because these agencies have access to DoubleClick and some of the major platforms. To give you an idea, DoubleClick, which is one of the biggest sort of programmatic advertising platforms, they only give you access if you have, if you spend something crazy. I don't know the exact figure, but over something like £500,000 or something like that. So you really need to go through an agency to be able to go on something like DoubleClick. Yeah. But in the past couple of years, a lot of other platforms have sort of sprung up that give you access to all the inventory that DoubleClick has, but they provide this as a self-service platform. So what we do is we basically use a platform called Match to One. So that's Match to, as in 1, 2, and 1.com. And this is essentially, we create display ads similar to the ones that you would create for your remarketing ads. You load these creatives onto the platform and you start prospecting. Mm-hmm. So essentially what programmatic advertising allows you to do is to show your creative ads to people who have never come across your brand, who've never interacted with your website. So it's the opposite of remarketing. Yeah. It costs a bit more because you're essentially, prospecting.
Top of the funnel, yeah.
Exactly. But it's worth testing because for some brands and products, it works really well. For others, it may not.
Yeah. Cool. Is there anything you'd like to add before you go?
No, I think the main thing I would add is in terms of AdWords, is it's worth spending a lot of time going as granular as you can get. Yeah. Both in terms of sort of device segmentation optimization, and also because we had Shopify and we had a lot of customers, we uploaded all those as custom audiences, and that worked really well for us. But like I said, the biggest learning curve for us was the fact that if you've got a trendy product, you list it on Amazon, it is eventually going to eat into your Shopify revenue massively.
Yeah.
So that is one thing that we're trying. It's a trend that we're trying to reverse at the moment because we just see it as a huge risk.
Sounds good. And what's the best way people can reach you if they have any questions?
So the best way is to email me, and my email is y.sekander, that's SEKANDER@gmail.com.
Sounds good. Okay, thanks for joining us today. Guys, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, I'll see you again in a few days' time. Take care.